Okay, so now we're going to look at different roots of a polynomial. So we're going to talk about the nth root. So nth root means that the root being taken will be identified within the expression. So we can even see that right here. So it's to simplify the fifth root of 32y to the fifth power. So with this one, we have the fifth root, meaning we're going to figure out what number is multiplied by itself 5 times to get to that number there. So we have 32, and in this case, it would be 2 because 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 gets me 32. And with this one, you can definitely use a calculator on this one if you don't know the fifth roots, because that one's going a little bit farther than I think we've bothered to memorize at this point. That's definitely a little bit bigger. So with this one, what you can do is you can type in 32, and then on your calculator, you'll see the square root button, but instead of the number 5, what you'll see is either an X or a Y, it depends on the calculator you're using, and you click that button, and then you type in the root that you're looking for. So the next button you would click would be 5 and then equals. Okay, so here is a calculator. This is just the smart calculator that I have on my computer, which is exactly the same calculator that you might have on an iPhone, very similar to one on an Android. If you're using the actual calculators in the school, they may look just slightly different, but the buttons look fairly similar. So the button that I'm trying to show you, so we have the square, we have the cube, we have this x to the y power. So this one is one where, we would use the power that I was bigger than a 3, but we're looking for roots. So you can see I have square root, I have cube root, and then anything above that I have to use this button for. Okay, so if I want to take the fifth root of 32, I'm going to type in 32 and I'm going to hit this root button here, but now I have to tell it what root I want to take. So now I have to come over here and go 5, and nothing happens until I hit equals. Unfortunately, this calculator makes you hit equals, but it'll tell you what the root is. So I can type my numbers in and do that. Now, if I wanted to use the square root button or the cube root button, all I have to do is, if I want to know what the square root of 4 is, I can click square root, and it automatically knows I'm taking the square because it's the 2 or the 3 here. All right, so fifth root, well, with this one, if I, expand it out, I have 5 y's, or I could use that division trick that we did on the very last video when I was just going over the square root of a polynomial. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, so I can only take out 1 y, right? Because the y was multiplied by itself 5 times in order to get y to the fifth power. So this would be 2y. All right, so let's go ahead and try that again. So this time we're taking the cube root. And again, a lot of calculators have a button for cube root on them. Not all of them, but quite a few do have this button. So you can actually just type in the number you're looking for and hit the cube root button, not having to also type in the 3. So if it has the little 2, it has a little 3 on the button that you're clicking, then it automatically knows what you're taking the root of. But if it's anything bigger than that, you're going to have to use that other feature that I was talking about. So with this one, if I use that feature with 8, again, I get 2. By chance, we get 2 again, because 2 times 2 times 2 is, in fact, 8. And you can actually do this also by just breaking the number down into its prime factors. So if I went through and I said, well, 8 divides by 2, and I get 2 and 4. Well, 4 divides by 2 and 2, and I get, so I'd end up with 2, 2, and 2, just like I did here. So you can also break it down by its prime factors. If you go all the way down to the bottom of all of its prime factors, you'll end up with its roots. So we're going to do the cube root of x to the 6th. So with this one, I want to know how many 3's there are, how many groups of 3. So it's x cubed times x cubed. So there's 2 of them. And I can also do that same thing by going 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So remember, when I'm using this little division trick, I want to make sure I'm dividing by the root. On the original video, when I did this one for square root of polynomials, I was dividing by 2 because those were square roots. Well, on this one, I'm dividing by 3, and when I did that on the previous one for the y, I divided by 5 because that was the fifth root. So just pay attention to what root you're doing. That's what you're dividing by when you're using this little trick. So our cube root of this one would be 2x squared. All right, so that's how you look for the nth root, or you find the nth root of a number, just whichever root they're asking you to find for a polynomial. I hope that helped, and I will see you on the next video.